This is the best side of Romania, a parade of bright colors and official hopes of prosperity. Waving his people on, Romanian President Nicolae Ceausescu, now in his 20th year of iron rule. Ceausescu walks a political tightrope between East and West, and he straddles an economic seesaw between industrial modernization and economic chaos. The shaker in these balancing acts could be American businessmen. Despite myriad trade problems, the U.S. Department of Commerce argues that American importers and exporters have found and are finding the Romanian market to be a profitable one. It's a rare opportunity for American business to trade with a communist nation, with the blessings of the U.S. government. Romania, Hungary, and the People's Republic of China are the only three communist nations which have been granted most favored nation status with the United States, which allows Romanian goods to be imported into the U.S. with low or no tariffs. In 1984, some 300 American businesses imported some $896 million worth of goods, mostly petroleum products, steel, aluminum, and leather goods. And that same year, the U.S. exported $246 million worth of goods to Romania, mostly soybeans, cattle hides, coal, and chemicals. Romania wants more high technology and looks to American business. One of the prime examples of American and Romanian business cooperation is this facility in Bucharest, which is a peripheral computer production plant. The plant is a joint venture between the American Control Data Company of Minneapolis and Computer Industries of Romania. Their product is derived in part from some new techniques they have developed from American management.
We did use, and we're using, American management systems. We have used American managers here at the beginning of the joint venture. We are trying, again, as a joint venture, we are trying to use the best of both partners' experience, not only in management, but in manufacturing, in technology, in organization, in everything.
ROM Control Data is a joint venture led by a 9-member board of directors, 4 Romanians, 4 Americans, and the plant manager. They meet twice a year to set budgets, policies, and procedures. Total revenue last year of $11 million yielded about $770,000 in profits. The contract partnership is to supply Eastern Europe with computer systems, and that contract will last until about 1994. ROM Control Data is a successful dual example of how American business can integrate investments into a communist nation. Productivity has risen steadily here in the joint venture's past 10 years. And the Romanians have even adopted the almost unheard of American practice of incentives for workers. But secondly, ROM Control Data is an example of how Romanians want to do business. Quoting the International Trade Administration of the U.S. Department of Commerce, Romanians, quote, typically demand that Western firms selling products to Romania take payment in Romanian goods. Such arrangements include barter, product buyback, co-production, joint ventures, and third country cooperation. So how do the Romanians like doing business with Americans?
Working with the Americans has been at least exciting.
Exciting, yes, but the International Trade Administration believes also in the near future that American business can make money in Romania in microelectronics, labor-saving technologies, and energy development. Agriculturally, Romanian plans for development open investments in livestock, crop production, and land use. Overall, the Romanians are anxious to at least talk.
And the American businessmen will find here partners which are interested and open to implementing such kind of technologies.
Higher technologies may first need technological transfer clearance by the State Department. The Commerce Department says U.S. businesses which can accept counter-trade or joint operations which circumvent Romania's current cash flow problems will have the best access to Romanian markets. The bottom line, be careful. The U.S. Department of Commerce sponsors investment promotions, but also recommends reading a hefty amount of information that is provided free by the International Trade Administration in Washington. Finally, continued congressional charges of major human rights violations could put most favored nation trade status with Romania in jeopardy next year. The Reagan administration believes trade with Romania keeps her more independent of the Soviets and increasingly responsive to the needs of her people. For any future American business ventures in Romania, there will be stability, but it is the stability of a Stalinist regime. With or without most favored nation status, Romania is still an enigma, wrapped in a cloud of bureaucratic mystery. In Bucharest, I'm Jack Trammell reporting for the Nightly Business Report.
Every shining sea has its mud. But on Romania's Black Sea coast, a certain type of mud is worth its weight in gold because supposedly this mud is unique. Here, this oily, smelly, organic mud is taken from lakes too salty to support life. It's then heated and ladled liberally in spas and used to treat a host of illnesses, from arthritis to eczema. There is little, if any, scientific proof that the mud, which is high in sulfur, iodine, and hormones, actually meets its medical claims. But here you can meet thousands of mud believers from around the world who have their own claims.
If I have the same experience that I had last year, this afternoon I'll really feel rejuvenated. At least I'll better good circulation. That's really the key.
While the most chronic sufferers get treatments in clinics, many others with minor ailments or with prevention in mind dabble in mud treatments on the beaches, believing the sun activates the organic minerals to go much more than skin deep.
Doctors disagree about whether or not this mud works for arthritis and similar diseases. Some say it's no better than hot wax treatments, while others believe it can greatly improve these problems. The one thing for sure is it's hard to get off.
In terms of research, I really doubt very much that the research would prove it to be effective.
While not everyone thinks the mud has healing powers, there are few who challenge its use because the cost of a mud pack is cheaper than a Saturday matinee, and the medicinal treatment is definitely entertaining. This is Janet Lawhan on the Black Sea coast of Romania reporting. In the quiet countryside of northern Romania, time seems to stand still. Yet in cosmopolitan Bucharest, trying to hold back the ravages of time is a business based on the controversial drug Gerovital. The drug doesn't offer the fountain of youth, but many of the elderly at Romania's Geriatric Institute believe it does offer a refreshment on life.
After 6 or 7 months, I felt better, and I recovered the optimism to life.
Gerovital is based on procaine, a substance commonly known as a painkiller. Here it's used to treat old age-related diseases like arthritis. It's also very important to tourism. Each year, thousands come from around the world to Romania's posh hotel clinics. And the patients' ages vary greatly.
But I'm 32 and I feel very good. I want to feel this good at 42 and 52 and 62.
Gerovital isn't recognized as an anti-aging drug by all governments, but is sold legally in dozens of countries. However, about 100 illegal reproductions also flourish on the black market. The fakes forged the endorsement of 88-year-old Dr. Anna Aslan, who created the drug 30 years ago. Now at potential financial risk to her country, Dr. Aslan is taking a public stand to defend the credibility of her drug.
She will require the health department and the tourism department not to send this drug abroad, only in Romania. Because it's only here where people can get the best treatment.
Dr. Aslan's decision to cut off Romanian Gerovital will seriously affect the availability of the drug worldwide and may also curtail the near-global black marketeering of the drug as well. This is Janet Lawhan in Bucharest reporting.
I am Dracula. Oh, it's really good to see you.
Dracula, as depicted in films, wasn't exactly a welcome sight, nor was his castle in Transylvania. Today, this place seems somewhat different, at least by day. Here, children play with only the fear of missing their supper, and despite a certain mist that shrouds the mountains, life goes on normally. In the movies, bats are in abundance here, but actually, only an unfortunate fellow like this is seen occasionally. Despite these realities, many tourists want to believe that Dracula still rises from his coffin.
Many of the famous vampire movies we've all seen have been made in this castle with this coffin. The real Dracula was bloodthirsty, but instead of biting his victims on the neck, he impaled them on skewers.
It's Vlad Tepes that Romanians know as Dracula, a 15th century prince who defended his castle and empire to the last drop of his blood. And the castle attracts some 300,000 tourists yearly, but many come seeking the vampire instead of the prince.
They are searching for the ghosts, okay?
Do they ever find him?
I don't know exactly, but they try.
So if you want to go to Transylvania believing in vampires, you're encouraged to.
Whatever we can imagine does exist.
And with or without imagination, it's believed that no one leaves Transylvania without being somewhat changed. This is Janet Lawhan in the hills of Transylvania reporting. Romania is a land that wants to be seen and heard, but isn't well known in America. Yet this country has her own unique flavor and provides an exotic and educational experience for the adventurous traveler. The heart of Romania is Bucharest, a busy city where most people depend on buses for transportation. And they're usually crowded, but will take you just about anywhere for the equivalent of a nickel. There are also plenty of guided tours that'll show you the sights, including the Romanian Arc de Triomphe. And the tourists shouldn't miss Manoc's Inn in the city's trade center. Built about 1800, it's filled with shops and restaurants that have walls from an ancient royal palace. But there are no longer kings in Romania. There is a socialist government that each summer celebrates its World War II liberation from Germany.
If you're in Bucharest on August 23rd, you'll see plenty of color and pageantry on Romania's Independence Day. But as a tourist, you really shouldn't plan to do much on this day because most businesses are shut and everybody's at the parade.
Tomorrow, the Union Market. In Romania, I'm Janet Lawhan. This is the Union Market, the most colorful part of Bucharest, a swirling hubbub of capitalism in a communist land. For the tourist, it's not only a good education, but also a great way to have fun and get fresh fruits and vegetables for only a few cents. We suggest you buy produce from the private farms instead of the government farms. It's better quality and picked fresh every morning, and picking vegetables can be tiring.
One of the best places to see Romania's gypsies is here at the Union Market. They've got the market cornered on flowers, usually selling the brightest and the freshest. And because gypsies farm independently, you can barter with them for prices. Doamne, cât costă?
But remember, gypsies are clever and may take advantage of you. Like this man who upped the price on his wooden spoons when he found out we were Americans. But the practice of wheeling and dealing, or schmeckerei, is a way of life in Romania. And because of many shortages, a strong black market exists. Through schmeckers, tourists commonly trade dollars for Romanian money at 5 times the exchange rate. But we caution this is illegal. However, it's perfectly legal and acceptable to use barter instead of cash. And in Romania, canned cigarettes are the best barter by far, often more valuable than money for goods and services. In the mountains of northern Romania, time seems to stand still. But along the Black Sea coast, standing still is impossible for these sure-footed dancers who captivate audiences 7 nights a week at Nunta Zamfiri, one of Romania's top night spots. Here you can see a traditional Romanian wedding recreated with plenty of music, dancing, and surprises. You may be asked for a quick shave or to participate in a dance contest following the ceremony, a contest that always promises interesting results. Whether or not you can dance, everyone wins here because the food is good and you get 5 courses along with wine for only about $7.50 a person. But remember, Romanian nightlife doesn't go into the wee hours because the country is conserving power. Most restaurants and clubs close down by midnight, and when going out, we suggest you hire a tour guide to drive you. Taxis are almost impossible to get late at night.
For an elegant evening in Bucharest, one of the best places to come is Hotel Bucharest. It's a 5-star hotel with not only Romanian but continental cuisine as well.
And we found the combination of food, service, and entertainment to be the best we had in the city. When the sun rises over this beach on Romania's Black Sea coast, one is reminded of a myth about a child who, when left behind, cried out to her mother across the seas, "Mamaia." The story ended happily, and today many tourists happily enjoy Mamaia and other temperate resorts here.
The Black Sea coast is the Riviera of Eastern Europe, complete with sun, sand, friendly people, and prices that are lower than just about any vacation resort in all Europe.
There are numerous hotels with nice rooms for about $15 a day, and most hotels have indoor spas for tourists in the winter. There are plenty of water sports to enjoy, and because shipping at Port Constanza dates back to early Roman times, there are many ancient relics you should see at the National Archaeological Museum. Romania wants to attract more American tourists, So next summer, the country is making private villas available to Americans alone for excellent prices. We're told an entire villa that accommodates 8 people, complete with a cook, maid, privacy, and a magnificent view will cost about $150 a day. You should check with the Romanian National Tourist Office in New York for more details. Included in the package is a therapist to give you a private mud bath every day. But this special mud is a public practice that attracts thousands from around the world who use it to treat arthritis, sore muscles, and other ailments.
This mud at Efri Nord is not just a beauty treatment. In fact, it's believed to be much more than skin deep. It's an ancient tradition.
I am Dracula.
The movie versions of Dracula's homeland, Transylvania, are quite different from what you'll see as a tourist. This part of northern Romania has crisp mountain air, colorful scenery, and sunlit village paths that taunt your curiosity. This part of the country is popular year-round, but prices are lower in the winter during skiing season. And no matter when you come, traveling with a tour group can bring a 50% cost reduction at hotels like the Alpine. Nestled in the mountains, sleepy villages like Brajov have medieval reminders, like the Great Black Church. It was completed in the 16th century after 100 years of construction, only to burn. There is laughter among children here, but also a certain mist that shrouds the mountains, even on a sunny day. Belfries are in abundance, but bats are few and far between. Unless you let your imagination go, then things change.
I am Dracula.
And as any warm-blooded soul knows, that means trouble. But Dracula's real homeland, Transylvania, is quite different from the movie versions. This part of northern Romania has crisp mountain air and sunlit paths that taunt your curiosity. And it's curiosity that draws some 300,000 tourists from around the world to Transylvania's Bran Castle, where Dracula was a former resident. It's a medieval place with an inscription that says, "The keeper of the castle will stay until the last drop of his blood has been shed." It's no more cozy inside either. The bedchambers promise something less than restful sleep.
Many of the famous vampire movies we've all seen have been made in this castle with this coffin. The real Dracula was bloodthirsty, but instead of biting his victims on the neck, he impaled them on skewers.
It is this Dracula, a 15th century prince, that Romanians know. In fact, the average Transylvanian doesn't know Bela Lugosi from Bats in the Belfry.
Have you ever seen a Dracula movie?
No, just a book, photo book. Love at first bite.
But despite this lack of local vampire verve, almost everyone seems to believe that no one leaves here unchanged. There's a certain mist that shrouds the mountains, even on sunny days. And when the light grows dim, a chill bites the air. Because as it's been said, whatever we can imagine does exist. In Romania, I'm Janet Lawhon reporting for NBC News.
Dracula.
And as any warm-blooded soul knows, that means trouble. But Dracula's real homeland, Transylvania, is quite different from the movie versions. This part of northern Romania has crisp mountain air and sunlit paths that taunt your curiosity. And it's curiosity that draws some 300,000 tourists from around the world to Transylvania's Bran Castle, where Dracula was a former resident. It's a medieval place with an inscription that says, "The keeper of the castle will stay until the last drop of his blood has been shed." It's no more cozy inside either. The bedchambers promise something less than restful sleep. Many of the famous vampire movies we've all seen have been made in this castle with this coffin. The real Dracula was bloodthirsty, but instead of biting his victims on the neck, he impaled them on skewers. It is this Dracula, a 15th century prince, that Romanians know. In fact, the average Transylvanian doesn't know Bela Lugosi from Bats in the Belfry. Have you ever seen a Dracula movie?
No, just a book, photo book. Love at first bite.
But despite this lack of local vampire verve, almost everyone seems to believe that no one leaves here unchanged. There's a certain mist that shrouds the mountains, even on sunny days. And when the light grows dim, a chill bites the air. Because as it's been said, whatever we can imagine does exist. In Romania, I'm Janet Lawhon reporting for NBC News. Romania recently celebrated the strength of her Communist Party and President Nicolae Ceausescu's 20th year as the country's leader. But despite bright parade banners, the country is struggling economically and trying to pay off an $8 billion debt to Western banks, often at the expense of the people. As a result, there are few imports, so a strong black market flourishes as the only source for many consumer goods. In a land where there are shortages of everything from food to gasoline, there's a plentiful supply of so-called natural healing products. And these treatments help trickle some $6.5 million of foreign revenue into Romania each year. Tourism officials say about 20% comes from Americans, Canadians, and Western Europeans. They're here for special mineral baths they can't get at home, for mud packs touted to relieve arthritis and muscle aches, and for drugs dispensed to slow down old age and its effects.
But I'm 32 and I feel very good. I want to feel this good at 42 and 52 and 62.
There are more testimonials than scientific proof that these treatments work. But the Romanian Tourism Bureau is working harder than ever to see that more Americans come for these health breaks and bring healthy dollars with them.
We try to make it easy by granting the visa right upon arrival without any pictures.
But even those who feel strongly about the effectiveness of spa treatments have some reservations about the efficiencies of Romanian service.
They're trying, and I think eventually they will catch up, but they still have problems.
In Romania, I'm Janet Lawhon reporting for NBC News. Despite a deeply troubled economy, each year Romania's government compels the people to celebrate the country's industrial and agricultural productivity with bright parade banners. The only thing that parallels Romania's show of political pageantry is her fervent emphasis on so-called natural healing and medicines based on natural substances. These include treatments on everything from arthritis to ulcers to aging, and they're all controversial. But they're also profitable. Each year, by offering tourists medical treatments they can't get at home, the Romanian government gains about $6.5 million. And it says about 20% of this money comes from Americans, Canadians, and Western Europeans. Maggie Wisnett has come from Chicago to this Bucharest clinic to lose weight and gain energy. Her program involves exercise, a special diet, and injections of a drug said to restore vitality.
Why all the way to Romania for this treatment?
Well, I think we're all a little bit adventurous. I thought it was an adventure.
While the treatments may seem adventurous, they're backed with little, if any, scientific proof. There are many testimonials to their effectiveness, but no money-back guarantees.
We're taking a hair treatment, and it feels like it isn't going to fall out now, and it's getting thicker.
And Romanian tourism officials are working hard to entice more Americans to bring healthy dollars with them. They see no ethical problems with using medicine for tourism purposes.
The need was there. People were coming to the great places. So what was there more natural than to start to build hotels nearby?
But even tourists who praise the medical treatments often find the food poor and the service at treatment hotels even worse.
It isn't easy to get healthy here because the medications and the staff are so wonderful, but the confusion all around you. On your right hand you're getting well, on your left hand you're going crazy.
In Bucharest, I'm Janet Lawhon reporting for NBC News. For centuries, Romanians have used an organic mud found in dead lakes to treat bone and joint diseases like arthritis. Though there's no scientific proof the mud works, a pseudo-scientific drug is being made from it. Pelamar, an anti-inflammatory substance, is the result of a rather crude mud straining and dehydration process. The resulting powder is used in everything from cosmetic facial creams to asthma inhalants to injections that reduce the inflammation of arthritis and skin diseases.
One reason for Pelamar's popularity here is that unlike consumer goods such as food, gasoline, clothing, and other products, it is available on just about every store shelf and is very affordable to the average Romanian.
The drug created by Dr. Ionescu Calinești was approved in Romania after 8 years of study. It received an international trademark in 1972. But Dr. Calinești hasn't been able to introduce it in the United States. He says the costs are too high and competition from American drug companies too strong. But perhaps the biggest barrier is the strict and lengthy U.S. Food and Drug Administration approval process, which requires definitive answers about a drug's safety and effectiveness.
We don't explain the Pelamar like chemical product.
He's even applied it to treat scleroderma, a rare and often fatal connective tissue disease. It can affect all organs of the body and has turned this Israeli child's leg as hard as wood. After receiving no hope from American doctors, his family got reassuring promises from the Romanian doctor.
You promised the earth. You promised that the leg will be like the other one.
After 1 month of ultrasound treatments with Pelamar, Dr. Calinești says the child's leg has improved more than 25%, and he goes on to predict it'll be completely healed in 6 months.
Scleroderma is a funny disease because if you took a look at 100 patients with scleroderma and didn't treat any of them and took a look at them a few years later, approximately 10% of them would have normal skin.
Whether or not Pelamar works, Dr. Calinești can continue to make optimistic promises to his patients, because if the treatments don't work, they have little, if any, recourse. In Bucharest, I'm Janet Lawhon reporting for NBC News. Shining sea has its mud, but on Romania's Black Sea coast, a certain kind of mud is worth its weight in gold, because supposedly it's unique. Here, this smelly, oily, organic mud is dredged from lakes too salty for fish. It's then heated and ladled liberally in spas and used to treat just about everything from arthritis to eczema. The idea is that the mud's hormones, iodine, sulfur, and other elements penetrate the skin and pinpoint the source of the ailment. Well, there is little scientific proof this mud is anything more than a mess. There are thousands who return to Romania each year lauding it.
If I have the same experience that I had last year, this afternoon I'll really feel rejuvenated. At least better good circulation. That's really the key here.
Painkillers are only masking the pain, but here I feel I'm being relieved. The disease doesn't progress as fast as it would.
Those with less serious ailments mud up on the beaches, believing the sun activates the organic minerals to go much more than skin deep.
Doctors disagree about whether or not this mud works for arthritis and similar diseases. Some say it's no better than hot wax treatments, while others believe it can greatly improve these problems. The one thing for sure is, it's hard to get off.
This Canadian psychologist found the mud easier to scrub off than to believe in.
In terms of research, I really doubt very much that the research would prove it to be effective.
While not everyone thinks the mud has healing powers, there are few who complain of its cost. A packing is worth the price of a Saturday matinee, and the medicinal treatment is definitely entertaining. In Romania, I'm Janet Lawhon reporting for NBC News. In the quiet countryside of northern Romania, time seems to stand still. But in cosmopolitan Bucharest, holding back the ravages of time is a whirlwind business based on the so-called youth drug Gerovidal. The formula doesn't spring from the fountain of youth, but many of Romania's elderly who use it to battle arthritis, hypertension, memory loss, and other aging diseases believe it has renewed their lives.
After 6 or 7 months, I felt better, and I recovered the optimism to life.
Gerovidal is based on procaine, a substance commonly used as a painkiller. Since the 1950s, Romanian gerontologist Dr. Anna Aslan, who is now 89, has used it as an anti-aging drug in her clinics. Treatments once reserved for royalty and movie stars are now given to anybody who has 2 weeks and about $2,000.
Romanians have learned to make Gerovidal and other similar treatments very attractive to tourists. Instead of sending patients to hospitals for treatments, they bring them to posh hotel clinics like the Flora here in Bucharest.
And each year, hundreds of Americans, along with others from around the world, seek vitality through therapies, injections, and pills.
Well, I want to hit 100, so this will help.
Others, like Madeline Steiner, come seeking relief from the torment of chronic pain.
But essentially, I am relieved, yes. In 3 days, I do feel better. I don't have as much pain.
However, Gerovidal's proponents have failed to gain the U.S. Food and Drug Administration's approval, and the drug's effectiveness has been more than questioned.
I think that I can probably come up with any concoction I want to, go south of the border, sell it for arthritis, and I assure you, patients will take it, will use it. Some of them will think that they did well because they'll want to do well.
While Dr. Aslan has no long-term scientific studies to defend her drug, she says it's effective when applied through her therapy program, a program she plans to expand to Mexico.
It can go there because their doctors come to Romania.
In Bucharest, I'm Janet Lawhon reporting for NBC News.
Very good.
Every shining sea has its mud, but on Romania's Black Sea coast, a certain kind of mud is worth its weight in gold, because supposedly it's unique. Here, this smelly, oily, organic mud is dredged from lakes too salty for fish. It's then heated and ladled liberally in spas and used to treat just about everything from arthritis to eczema. The idea is that the mud's hormones, iodine, sulfur, and other elements penetrate the skin and pinpoint the source of the ailment. Well, there is little scientific proof this mud is anything more than a mess. There are thousands who return to Romania each year lauding it.
If I have the same experience that I had last year, this afternoon I'll really feel rejuvenated. At least I'll better good circulation. That's really the key here.
Painkillers are only masking the pain, but here I feel I'm being relieved. The disease doesn't progress as fast as it would.
Those with less serious ailments mud up on the beaches, believing the sun activates the organic minerals to go much more than skin deep.
Doctors disagree about whether or not this mud works for arthritis and similar diseases. Some say it's no better than hot wax treatments, while others believe it can greatly improve these problems. The one thing for sure is, it's hard to get off.
This Canadian psychologist found the mud easier to scrub off than to believe in.
In terms of research, I really doubt very much that the research would prove it to be effective.
While not everyone thinks the mud has healing powers, there are few who complain of its cost. A packing is worth the price of a Saturday matinee, and the medicinal treatment is definitely entertaining. In Romania, I'm Janet Lawhon reporting for NBC News.